Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. For today, we are going to learn Dear Mr. Kilmer, specifically on how to answer the question. The first thing we are going to look at is the answer template for the novel question. As I have already explained to you how to answer the novel question, so today I'm going to show you the answer template. This template can change according to the question. So not necessarily you follow strictly this template. You can change a little bit here and there so that you can answer the question better. The reason for you to follow this template is because your answer will be more systematic. The more systematic your answer is, the easier for the examiner to mark your answer paper. So the first thing we are going to look at is the introduction. So you need to write the main points in the introduction so that the examiner can easily know what your answer is. So the first thing you need to write is the novel that you choose. For example, in the template it says, the novel I have studied is Dear Mr. Kilmer by Ashraf. So that is the first sentence that you need to write. You need to choose the novel, and then after that you are going to write the main points, all the main points that you are going to give explanation in the following paragraphs. So for example, you can write firstly and then the first content point. After that, next, followed by the second content point, and finally followed by the third content point. After the introduction, you can start writing the second paragraph. So for the second paragraph, you are going to write the elaboration of the first content point in detail. Okay, because for the novel questions, elaboration is important for you to get better marks. So for the second paragraph, this is where you write the first content point that you have written in the introduction. Okay, so the elaboration and the explanation for the first content point is written in the second paragraph. The same thing goes to the third and fourth paragraph. For the third paragraph, you write the elaboration or the explanation of the second content point, and the fourth paragraph is where you write the elaboration or the explanation of the third content point of the question. Next, we look at the fifth paragraph. So in this paragraph, you need to write your own opinion depending on the question. So basically, in the novel question, students need to provide your own personal response. Other than giving evidence to support your answer, other than giving elaboration to support your answer, you also need to provide your own opinion depending on the question. So what you can write about your opinion is basically, for example, you can write about how you feel or what you believe he or she do in the situation. So basically, your own opinion, it still depends on the question itself. Finally, we look at the last paragraph, which is the closure. So like a normal composition, when there is an introduction, there is also a closure. So for the closure, what you need to do is rewrite the main point, just in case the examiner missed any content points that you have written in the previous paragraphs. Okay, so for example, you can write as a conclusion and then followed by the first content point, and the second content point, and the third content point. And after that, you also mention, in my opinion, and followed by your own opinion, which we have written in the fifth paragraph. Next, we are going to do a practice based on the template that we have looked at before. So the question that I have chosen is from 2019 Selangor B. The question says, do what you believe is right and be firm with your decision. So this is the statement provided in the question, and it is just a guideline for you to answer the question. But the real question in this practice is, using the details from the novels you have studied, choose a character who shows determination in an incident and how it helped to solve his or her problem. Support your answer with close reference to the text. Before you start answering the question, the first thing you need to do is identify the keywords. This is because when you answer the question, you need to know how many characters, how many incidents, and other things, so that your answer is basically really answering the question. So the keyword in the question is the character. Since it is written in singular form, it means that you need to provide one character. If the question says characters in plural form, it means that you need to give at least two characters. The next keyword is determination in an incident. So because it is written an incident, it means that you just need to provide one incident. If the question says determination in incidents in plural form, so it means that you need to give more than one incident. And the third keyword in the question is how it solved his or her problem. So meaning that whatever has been done by the character in the incident that you have chosen, it must solve the problem that he or she has faced in the novel. If the incident does not solve the problem, your answer does not answer what the question asks you to do. And the next thing you need to write in your answer is personal response. Even though this question does not ask you to give personal response, basically for novel question, you still need to provide personal response or your own opinion of the action taken by the character. Next, we are going to look at the answers to the keywords. Okay, so the character that I've chosen for this question is Richard. Now, when you want to choose the character, usually we choose the character that has a lot of things that you can write about, and which is the main character. Not necessarily it is wrong to use minor characters, but the main characters has a lot of things you can write about. So the character that I've chosen is Richard, and the incident that shows determination is when he purposely missed the shot. The reason I've chosen this incident is because after that, it helped to solve his problem. So how did he solve his problem is he did not have to go hunting anymore. Now, Richard loved nature and he hated killing animals. So after that incident, Pa said to him he did not have to go hunting. So that solved his problem. And the next keyword is when you provide your personal response, how you feel about what Richard have done. So, for example, you can write about you feel proud of Richard for doing the right thing, which he believed he has no right to killing animals. And if he was not determined, he had to go hunting again. So that is your own opinion or your own personal response, which is important in answering the novel question. Next, we are going to look at the sample answer. As you can see, the sample answer is not a complete sample answer. I have only given to you bits and parts of the whole answer. As for the introduction, the novel I have studied is Dear Mr. Kilmer by Anne Schraff. This is exactly the same sentence as in the template that we have looked at before. The character that has shown determination in an incident is Richard. The incident is when Richard was determined not to kill the bug. How it helped to solve his problem is when he did not have to go hunting anymore. In my opinion, I feel proud of Richard because he did what he believed was the right decision. Now, as mentioned in the notes, use the question to produce the introduction. Write all the content points without elaboration. Like I have mentioned in the template, the introduction part is where you write the main point without elaboration. Elaboration is when you write in the following paragraphs. If you look at the introduction carefully, you can see that there are sentences that I have bolded. For example, the character that has shown determination in an incident, and the next one is how it helped to solve his problem. Now, these two sentences are taken from the question itself. So basically, you can recycle the question to be used in your introduction. And there are also sentences in the introduction that I have underlined. Those underlined sentences are the main points that you are going to give more elaboration, more explanation in the paragraphs after the introduction. Next, we look at the second paragraph. As I have mentioned earlier, the paragraphs after the introduction is where you write the elaboration and the explanation for the main points that you have written in the introduction. So for this exercise, the second paragraph is where you describe the event when Richard missed the shot. So make sure to write in detail, because for the novel question, more marks can be given by the examiner if you write in detail. The less detail the answer that you provide, the less mark you can get. So the more detail you provide, the more marks you can get. So the second paragraph says, the incident that shows Richard was determined with his decision is when he decided not to kill the bug. So that is the main point. He decided not to kill the bug. That is the main point. One day, Richard, Gus, and Pa went hunting, and so on. So the sentences after the main point are the elaboration. So you need to describe the event when Richard, Gus, and Pa went hunting, and what happened during that hunting trip, and what happened at the end of the hunting trip, whereby you need to explain until the point when Pa said to Richard that he did not have to go hunting anymore after he had told Pa that he did not like killing animals. The third paragraph is where you describe how the incident when Richard decided not to kill the bug, how it helped to solve his problem. So in this paragraph, it says, the incident solved his problem when Richard did not have to go hunting anymore because he loved nature and hated killing animals. So the sentence, Richard did not have to go hunting anymore, that is how the incident that he was determined not to kill the bug solved his problem. Because in this paragraph it says, because he loved nature and hated killing animals. So the sentence after that, after he missed the shot, Richard and Pa had a discussion, and then you continue to explain what Richard and Pa discussed after that. And you also need to explain, because of the incident that Richard did not want to kill the bug, it helped him to solve his problem, not to go hunting after he had discussion with Pa. The fourth paragraph is where you provide your personal opinion. It says here, in my opinion, Richard did the right thing and I am very proud of him. So after that, you explain why you feel what he did was the right thing. And then after that, if he was not determined, then you explain if he did not make that decision not to kill the bug, what would happen to him? So this paragraph, you give your own ideas, your own opinion of what he had done in the incident. And finally, the fifth paragraph, which is the closure or the conclusion. So in this paragraph, what you need to do is just rewrite the main point. So in the sample answer, it says, As a conclusion, Richard is a character that has shown determination in an incident. The incident is when Richard was determined not to kill the bug. How it helped to solve his problem is when he did not have to go hunting anymore. In my opinion, I feel proud of Richard because he did what he believed was the right decision, and if he was not determined, he had to go hunting again. So from the conclusion, you can see that there are sentences that have been bolded. For example, Richard is a character that showed determination in an incident. That sentence, most part of the sentence are taken from the question itself. How it helped to solve his problem. That sentence is also taken from the question. The sentences that are underlined are the main points that you just need to rewrite. You do not have to provide any more elaboration because all the elaborations have been given in the previous paragraphs. So to summarize, what we have learned so far is, number one, always write one paragraph for each content point. Do not combine the content points in the same paragraph because it will be difficult for examiner to identify the content points. And that is why a systematic answer is good for examiner because it is easier for them to identify the main points. All the main points have been written in the introduction, and the paragraphs after the introduction are the elaboration and explanation of the main points. So one paragraph is for elaboration for one content point. So it is suggested that you don't combine the elaboration for the content points because it is difficult for the examiner to distinguish which elaboration for which content point, and it is also difficult for the examiner to identify the elaboration and the main point if you combine the content points in the same paragraph. Number two, always identify these two things before answering the question. Number of character or theme or moral value required by the question, and the number of event or evidence required by the question. So you always look at the keywords, whether it is written in singular form or in plural form. If it is mentioned in singular form, it means that you just need to provide one character or one event or evidence. If the keywords in the question are mentioned in plural form, it means that you need to provide more than one. If you provide less than one for question that asks you to provide more than one, it means that you do not answer the question fully. Number three, always identify the keywords before answering the question. This is to ensure that you are giving what the question wants you to write in the answer. If you don't identify the keywords, maybe when you are writing the answer halfway through, then you realize that you have not answering the question. Then you are only wasting your time. Or if you don't identify the keywords and you do not realize that you have done mistakes, then all your answers are most probably not answering the question perfectly. Number four, the number of content points depend on the question. For this example, it requires 3 content points. That is, incident that shows determination, how it solved the problem, and also personal response, even though it is not explicitly mentioned in the question about personal response. So the number of content points depends on the question. There are no specific answers. There are no specific number of answers that you need to provide for the question on the novel. All depends on the question itself. Lastly, number 5, the marks are awarded based on the content point and evidence, whether they are relevant or not. If the content points you provide do not answer the task or do not answer the question, then you will get less mark. That is why it is important for you to identify the keywords before you start answering the question. Elaboration of content point and evidence, whether it is wide enough or not, or whether it is in detail or not. whether you mention the evidence in one sentence or two sentences only, or whether you provide the evidence with a great detail, meaning that a paragraph consists of 5 or 6 lines. It shows a good elaboration, then you can get better marks. And the last one is personal response. That is a part of the question, even though in this exercise it is not mentioned. So the marks awarded are basically based on 3 elements: content point and evidence, whether they are relevant or not; elaboration of content point and evidence, whether it is in detail or wide enough or not; and also your own personal response or your own ideas or your own opinion. Finally, what you need to do is answer the following question. Do what you believe is right and be firm with your decision. Using the details from the novels you have studied, choose a character who shows determination in an incident and how it helped to solve his or her problem. Support your answer with close reference to the text. So this question is basically what we have discussed earlier. You can use the sample answer provided in the previous slides to assist you, or you can write your own answer, but still follow the answer template given.